Wonderful initially started as a baking blog. And I was primarily involved in just trying to collate recipes that I felt worked for me. I was trying my hand on baking things through, just through practice and through tried and tested recipes. And that was the extent of the work that, I really was doing. But, today, after almost 1.5 years of becoming commercial, I realized that, it has grown far beyond what I actually anticipated. I started Wonderful as a commercial venture in November of 2013. Now, initially it was just really, like I mentioned, I did a lot of fundraising work with respect to my baking. I would do a lot of hobby baking, of course, but never commercially prior to that. What really changed was 2 or 3 things. First things first, I became a mother in November of 2012, and while it is a very, very important phase in my life, and I think it was one of the most defining moments of my life, it was really just one of the defining moments of my life. So I realized that I had played many roles before that. I had been many things before that, and I wanted to continue that. So I wanted to be more things. I wanted to not let my identity rest on just being a mom. And even despite the fact that I think it's not to take away from the fact that it's one of the biggest things that have happened in my life. So what I tried to do really at that point of time was that I tried to see what in which ways could I rediscover or revisit myself internally. And I was working at that point in time. I was working in a consulting career, and with the fact that the restlessness to actually revisit myself had set in, the fact that my baby was really small, and the fact that organizations in India don't have the kind of setup that young mothers need. I think these 3 factors really kind of drove the decision towards moving from consulting into building Wonderful into a business venture. So baking as a skill to really be used for fundraising is not a concept which is very well known in India. It's a new concept in India currently. A large number of countries have actually been doing it quite well. In India, NGOs have actually been relying on, a sense of goodwill, a sense of conscience, from people's perspective, in order to raise funds, in order to get them to contribute to certain, work areas or social causes that they have been involved in. But using bake sales to raise funds is really, a fun concept that has actually started coming into India now. I started doing it about 4 or 5 years ago when, I did the first fundraiser for an animal welfare organization in New Delhi called Indigree Angels Trust. Very recently, I've become part of this, non-profit organization called the Bake Collective, which is really a set of individuals, who have formed this organization to use bake sales actively for raising funds. They've done a lot of great work in terms of raising funds through bake sales for, say, Gunj, for Milap. So I think being a part of it now has, kind of tied up the business that I work in to a larger community purpose. For myself, and I think that would be my advice to anybody who's essentially also a woman entrepreneur, is that, you have to have the resilience. You can actually have the willingness, you can actually have the risk appetite, but if you don't have the resilience or the perseverance really to take it through, it's fairly difficult to try and, be an entrepreneur in that space. So for any woman, I think, like I mentioned earlier, that, what happens is that, you can, you have defined your tangible goals. You will reach your, you will reach what you actually set out to reach because you have that strength inside yourself. But I think that extra bit of being content, about things being taken care of while you're busy trying to set up your business, that, ease in your mind that, there are people all around you, who believe in the same thing that you do when you're actually setting up your, work. I think that, that is completely unmatched. That I don't think anybody except for your, family can give you.